Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Red Ready Man. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the Love Cup and the meta and suggesting some teams that you might want to run in this cup. I've done a lot of research looking at other content creators, been spending a hell of a lot of time on PV Poke. Like, massive shout out to PV Poke. Absolutely love it as a resource. And what would we do without it? It's kind of like the instruction manual that Niantic should have written. It's absolutely a fantastic tool. I'm really pleased I've started to do ads on there as well. I don't feel as guilty for as much time as I spend on there because you know, they've got the ads and I'm clicking them even if I'm not interested in them, just to hopefully give them a little bit of love. So speaking of PV Poke, why don't we actually get into PV Poke and take a look at what we've got there. So here we've got the straight rankings for the Love Cup, and this is what PV Poke do so well. You can go up here and you can choose whatever you want and run the format that you want to find out, and you can team build and all of those things, and you definitely should be running simulations just to see how these Pokemon are going to play. We see there at number 1, we've got Lickitung Xl. We are not going to see any Lickitung XL. If you have a Lickitung XL, you are a crazy person that raided, got all of the Lickitungs, never spent the candy, and have got enough to turn it into an XL. We will start to see these XLs come through. I mean, that's just going to be, you know, the way that the game is going to move. But we can see here we've only got 2 XLs in the top 10, which is very different to, for instance, if we look at what's been happening in Ultra League. So let's just go to Ultra League and look at that. See how many XLs we've got there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the top 10. So it's great that we're not going to be having those lots of XLs, and we're not going to be seeing Lickitung XL. The other XL, Medicham, I do expect us to see some. They've been spawning a lot over the last few weeks. We had the event where they were spawning everywhere, and I know a lot of people have been working towards building an XL Medicham. But there shouldn't be any real issues with any of the XLs. You should be able to build a team here that can win. I mean, for instance, with the Medicham XL, it's number 5, but actually the normal one is it's only rank 11 for a level 40. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. And if you've already got that Hundo best buddy, as I have, pair it up a little bit more, and you'll be good to go and have the bulk and win the mirror match against Medicham XL. So it doesn't rule you out from having it. Okay, let's get into the meta map as I've named it and created. A lot of people do these, and I've really just looked at what I think the core is and what's going to be beating what. So let's take a look. So I think the core of this whole kind of week of battling is going to be around Clefable and Wigglytuff and Charizard. So I've put Wigglytuff and Clefable at the top there. Charizard is obviously beating Wigglytuff and Clefable, but they are beating the fighters down on the bottom right. So Scrafty and Medicham. You are seeing the waters will beat them, but they're just so bulky, and the charm, they just basically do everything that isn't here. We see the waters. Now, there's not a great deal of water options in this cup. A Mola has come in at number 3, I think, is it? No, 2. So number 2 is a Mola, and have you ever built one? I haven't got one. I've looked, I've got one for my decks, which is a 93%. So I don't know what I'm going to do about running that. And we'll see in a little while that it is actually quite important, and it comes up an awful lot. Another thing we don't see a lot of in this is steel. So the Wormadam Trash Burmery at the top there is pretty much there on its own. But it is really good against Clefable and Wigglytuff because of those charms coming through, and its steel typing really sucks it all up. But is particularly weak to the Charizard and the fighters and the Medicham, which we're going to hear a lot about Medicham over the next few minutes as we go through this meta. The Vileplume at the bottom is there, and it needs to be Shadow. So the difference between Vileplume and the Shadow and the normal, Shadow is ranked 19, and it's ranked 36 as a normal Vileplume. The ones that you pick up, you pick up Scrafty, which is kind of quite an important matchup there, where you would normally lose it. So the Shadow is definitely much stronger. Yeah, the Shadow is definitely what you want. The beauty of having the Vileplume is that poison water coverage is just so killer. So let's get into my what I've called gold star picks. So these are my gold star picks. These are the picks that you're going to want to have at least one of them on your team. And I've gone a little bit spicy here. So Charizard is not so spicy. Charizard sits there at rank 3. Everybody's got a Charizard built. Everybody has one from the community day not so long back. If you've got Dragon Breath, Fire Spin, you might want to change that to Wing Attack. Wing Attack has been... I watch a lot of streams and a lot of content creators, and I've been seeing a lot of the streamers swap into Wing Attack on their Charizards for Ultra League even. And Wing Attack is definitely going to have some play here, but it is going to be an Elite Charge TM. Hopefully you bought your box at the weekend and you're able to do that. Fire Spin will definitely have some play. It will really have some play here, so don't worry if you don't want to change your Fire Spin one. Dragon Breath I don't think has quite as much play. And I would definitely be looking towards the Fire Spin or Wing Attack. So its key wins are against Medicham, Wigglytuff, Clefable. Now, I've talked about the core. This beats the core. This is it's going to be the MVP of the whole thing for me. I think it's really going to do well. It's weak to rock, electric, and water. There's not a lot of water in this cup. There's not a lot of rock. There is a little bit of an electric, but it is powerful against an awful lot. It loses to Scrafty, which is a big shock to me. I would have thought because of the fighting typing. I know it's secondary, but and the flying typing on Charizard, it would win, but it doesn't. It loses to Scrafty, and it loses to water and electric. Next on, we've got Clefable. Clefable is rank 6 in the meta analysis from PV Poke. Its key wins are Medicham, Scrafty, Electrode, and Crustle. We're going to see a lot of those Pokemon in this. It is weak to Poison and Steel. Now, there's not a great deal of Poison and Steel in this meta. The Steel we've already talked about in the Wormadam, the Burmary trash, but the Poison, Vileplume, and after that, there's not a real lot of things to threaten Clefable, so I think it's going to be really strong. Its bulk is just, it's a pig to deal with. It just constantly can take hits and take hits. Really good save swap, yeah, really, really good one. And then we've got Crustle. Crustle is my spicy pick. I've gone for Crustle because I think we're going to see so many Charizards. And if you've ever seen a Crustle with Smackdown against Charizard, it is just delete, delete, delete. I actually think, looking at this actually is a potential team that you could run, and I think could have some play in the Cup. And this might be one of the teams that I go for. I've actually built a team that I'm going to show you that I'm going to run at the end. But I'm actually liking the look of this. So maybe I give this a whirl and actually go with all of my gold star picks. But let's go into my silver star picks and just see what else there is that I think can run around the meta. So Medicham. Medicham, he's going to have play in this competition. It wins against a Lola Mola. It wins against Scrafty. It wins against Vileplume. It is a real chunky Pokemon that everybody's going to be trying to build because it is one of the new XLs that we can build. It's going to be great. Its key losses are going to be, unfortunately though, Charizard, Wiggly, and Clefable, which I've already said I think are going to be the core. They're going to be the one. Every team is going to have a Charizard, a Wiggly, or a Clefable in it. So Medicham is going to lose to that. And it's weak to Fairy, Flying, and Ghost, but there is no Ghost in this meta. So potentially you've got baiting opportunities with Pair Up Punch. Psychic is a very hard-hitting move. Maybe there's some play with it, but I'm not 100% convinced, and I'm not sure I'm going to be running it. But it is going to be something you're going to come across. Next up, we've got Electrode. Electrode is really interesting. I actually have an Electrode that's quite that's built or going to be built. I haven't finished pairing it up yet. Something like a rank 4 or something like that. And I started to see a few of these in Great League earlier on in the season. I thought it was a bit of a weird pick, but actually, when you come up against one, it's really difficult to deal with. It's very spammy. It wins against Charizard, Alola Mola, Milotic. It does lose against the one to its left, Medicham. Just because of it outpaces it. Wiggly, and it loses to Clefable as well. And we've already said we're going to see Wigglies and Clefables. But its only real weakness is ground, and there are no grounds in this competition. Well, I tell a lie. There are 2 grounds. You've got Crocodile, which is at rank 65, and you've got Camerupt, which is at rank 77. I don't believe we're going to see a plethora of Crocodiles and Camerupts, and that's its only weakness. So nothing is going to delete it. Nothing is going to come in like Crystal does on Charizard and go gone. It's going to have chance to hang around and potentially do a little bit of damage, and could be a good save switch, potentially, depending on what you're running in the lead. But I really like the look of Electrode, and I think I am going to have a little bit of a play with this. Alola Mola is a big shock to me. Never expected Alola Mola to be in a meta. Never expected it to be relevant, so never really kept one. I have one in my Pokedex, which I think is like a 93%, which is just a living dex entry. So I don't have one built, but it does win against Charizard, Wigglytuff, and Clefable. Let me just say that again. It wins against Charizard, Wigglytuff, and Clefable. It's amazing. I need to get an Alola Mola. I'm going to actually talk to some of my friends on the Discord group that I'm in and see whether anybody has one to trade, just to try and get a better IV one. If not, I may even just run a rubbish IV one just to see, because that is going to be a core that you are going to want to break up. It does lose to Medicham, Scrafty, and Electrode, so you're going to want to have a think about what you do there, and it is going to be weak to the electric and grass types. Now, there's not a lot of grass types. There are a few electric types, but there's not a great deal there. So I don't see you as being particularly open or particularly in trouble with Alola Mola. And if you have one, and you should definitely use it in this cup if you're going to have a go, because it really does break up that core. But let's look at the other picks, which I'd called my red star picks. So in my red star picks, I've gone with Milotic at the top. Now, Milotic is an interesting Pokemon. I actually built one for Ultra League, I think it was. It's an alternative to Alola Mola if you don't have one. It does lose in the matchup with Alola Mola, which I thought was quite interesting. And it is an interesting pick. Trash Wormadam, it beats all the Charmers. It's the very little steel in this meta. It is the steel for the meta, and if you have one, you should definitely go for it. Vileplume, that should have a shadow on it, because I think you do need to run a shadow Vileplume, and it's great coverage. The grass and the poison is fantastic coverage. Now, this is one I'm really interested in, and this is another one that I do have ready to power up. I have a really good ranked one, and I'm tempted to have a go with Magcargo. So the typing is just mental. Have you seen the typing of Fire and Rock? Like, it's literally covering itself each way. It beats Charizard, it beats Wigglytuff, it beats Clefable. So, there's loads of play. Now, the only problem with Magcargo is it is glassy. It is weak as can be. It cannot take a hit. You need shields. But as a lead, you could really confuse somebody, and this could be a spicy pick. I'm not sure where it is in the meta. Actually, I've got it here. It's actually ranked 15 in the meta, so it does have some play, and I think I'm tempted. I'm really tempted. I think it could be a really interesting spicy pick. Next up, we've got Sunny Cherrim. Sunny Cherrim's only ranked 27. The grass, there isn't a lot of grass in this meta, but having grass with fire coverage is interesting. But I don't really see it taking off as a top pick, but could have some spicy interest in there. And then we've got Seaking. Now, unfortunately, this is a triple legacy Pokemon. If you have it, you aren't going to want to flex it. I've got a feeling that PV Poker are actually recommending a different... they're suggesting Waterfall as the fast move. So if you've got a legacy one, you don't really want to be swapping that. But then Poison Jab, I think, will still have some play in this meta. I mean, it wins against Charizard, Wigglytuff, Clefable, Milotic, and Mancargo. Loses against Medicham, Alola, Scrafty, Vileplume. Like, it's an interesting Pokemon. I wish I had one. I wish I had one. I don't, unfortunately. I think the Icy Wind Drill Run combination is really interesting. I've talked about Wigglytuff a lot, and it really probably shouldn't be in the Red Star picks. It's actually rank 8 in the PV Poke rankings. Charm, like, oh my god, like, Charm is just a killer fast move. And in this meta, I think it's really going to have lots and lots and lots of play. Its only real weakness is a Poison Steel, and we've already seen there's not a great deal of Poison and there's not a great deal of Steel. So Wigglytuff is going to be a solid pick. Scrafty beats Charizard. I don't understand how. You know, with that fighting typing, I really would have thought the flying typing and fire typing of Charizard would have powered through, but no, it does win that play. And we know the power of counter, and we know the spamminess of Fell Play. Like, it's a great Pokemon. You've probably got one built already, and definitely worth taking a look at. And then Slowbro. I've actually gone for Slowbro over Slowking. And the reason for that is that, like, it resists water, steel, psychic, ice, fairy, fighting. Like, it just resists everything. And it's just a really cool Pokemon. I really, really like Slowbro. I wish I could use it more, and maybe this is my opportunity to actually try and use it more. So why don't we get into my suggested teams and see what we're going to pick. So my suggested teams here is Charizard, Clefable, Wigglytuff. Now, you will get some timeouts with this team, I'm guessing. It's going to be really tough to win quickly. But the bulk, you're just going to soak it up. And I think this is a super interesting team that I'd be interested in having a look at. My plan is this afternoon is actually try and run some of these teams and just see how they go with some of my people in my Discord, because I've got all of these, most of these ready to go, apart from the Alola. So yeah, and then next up we've got Electrode, Medicham, and the Shadow Vileplume. This is purely set up to beat that team above. It's really there just to kick them around a little bit. But I think this has got a team that definitely has some play in there. And then we've got the final team. We've got Licky. We've got Alola Mola. I still can't say it. And the Trash Wormadam. Yeah, it's going to really struggle against the Charizards. But the rest of the meta, I think it's going to do really well. And as long as you can line up that Alola Mola on the Charizard, then I think you're in a really, really good place. Let's take a look at the team that I'm thinking about running. So here's the team that I'm going to be running, or definitely going to start with. I don't think, I'm so excited about that Mancargo now that I really want to start running that one. But I'm going to be leading with Electrode. The reason I'm leading with Electrode is if I can run into the Charizard at the front, I'm either going to win or they're going to back out. And then I've got the Crustle in the back to kind of do the damage later, and then Charizard to come and sweep up. Listen, I haven't done any Sims or any PV Poke Battle team prep work. This is just my instant gut feel from diving into the meta. What are you going to be running? What are you looking to do? Are you excited for the Love Cup? I'd love to see in the comments below. If you've got this far, please do subscribe. Like, you've got into this bit, you really may as well fully dive in and be a subscriber. It's free and it makes me happy every time I get a new one. Listen, thank you very much for joining me as always, but what are you still doing here? Let's go Pogo.